Hi, it's me again. This is episode 5 of the World According to Steph Spiritual Foundations. Okay, I wanted to get the physical stuff out of the way because I want to get on with it. I just want people to know that I live in a lot of pain, okay? Some days it's very difficult to ever even get out of that bed. There's a lot of days where I can't even find a comfortable position to sit up in, to lay in, to do anything in. But I manage. And I manage with help. I have a great, deep belief in a creator. A long time ago, I was probably considered almost an atheist. Not entirely. I had a feeling that there was something a little more to life than just me. Okay. uh, I was raised by an atheist, my father, but I still questioned everything. I was one of those type of people. I don't just take somebody's word for it. I've got to do my own research. Well, I'm just a babe in the woods, so to speak, when it comes to spirituality. I may have had almost 20 years of study. That's nowhere near anything compared to what lots of other people have. I've read lots of books, lots of different books. I've read through the Bible. I've read through the Quran. I'm not done with the Quran yet. I'm still working on that. I'm not done with the Bible. Shoot, that's a huge thing to work on. I read the Gnostic Bible. That's the book of the mystics, by the way. Gnosticism means mysticism, for those of you who don't know. I reference that in some of my quotes that I write on Google+. And whether you like it or not, I'm going to. A lot of what's written in there is the same as what's in the regular Holy Bible that the Catholic Church produced back in, when was it, 300 and something AD, you know. Constantine brought it to. They actually didn't finish it until, I think, 700 AD. Now, I could be wrong. But anyway, getting on with it. It's not just spiritual books that I've read. I've read a lot of psychology, a lot of psychological books. I have been to college. That too was a miracle. I'm sure my father never thought in a million years that I would get off my butt and instead of being a cocktail waitress and a bartender, actually become a scientist. And I did. Now, at any rate, I did it when my children were still very little, but I do know that my daughter can remember me studying a lot. And I never studied in high school, but I sure as heck did during college, believe me. And that's probably why I have a 3.8 GPA. I studied a lot, but I had a hunger for knowledge, a tremendous hunger, and I still do. It will never end. Never. Okay, now what I want to talk about are a couple of things. This love myself thing, okay? For many, many, many years, I sabotaged me. Many years. That's why I did the first two videos about what's wrong with me physically. What I could do another several videos on what was wrong with me up here too, or emotionally. Because if you don't think there was emotional damage from that stuff, think again. Okay? It's a miracle that I raised my children without a lot more damage than what they did have as a result of my damage. Okay? We're going to get into that too. Now, I grew up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Actually, in the 70s, I was already out of high school and on the road. Hitchhiked out to California when I was 18. It was safer to do it back then. We were definitely wild kids, okay? We did what we wanted. But, I was a little dangerous, to be honest with you. I really think I might have hurt someone if they had tried to hurt me, because I had had so much abuse in my life that I was just sick and tired of it. And unfortunately, though, when I married the second marriage, I wasn't sick and tired of it enough. Well, let's not go there. Let's go where I want to go, to the awakening of my life, the real life, the life I live today. If I didn't have the belief systems that I have today, I'd be dead. I would have killed myself. I would have found a way to die. I promise you that. And when you stop and think about that, what does that say? That says, boy, is she selfish to die. Wow. My best friend committed suicide when we were 16 years old. It tore me up. She was the only child of two people, and it took them a long time to conceive her. She had been planning her death since she was 12 years old. She walked in front of the Chicago Northwestern commuter train at the age of 16. They thought it was drugs. At first, they blamed everything on drugs back then. That was back in like 1969. It wasn't drugs. Not at all. She had written me a note prior to doing it, and I actually thought that I had some kind of power here to stop her. No. If a person wants to die, they're going to die. And I found something else out. A person can die just by sheer will. My grandmother did. She was done living. She basically told me it, that if any of her children died or passed on before her, she would not want to live anymore. Well, about 6 to 8 months after two of her boys, who were old by the way, my grandmother was well over 100 when she passed. When they passed on, my grandmother passed on too. My father was the last of the boys in his family. He was the last living male in his large family. Anyway, back to some other things. The reason I bring this up is because I've had a lot of death in my life. I've had a lot of people pass in my life. Some of my experiences are definitely going to make for some good reading, believe me. And sad. Very sad. So, get ready if you read it. But some of it's kind of funny because of my own stupidity or the foolish things that I did. Anyway, when I broke my lower back, something inside of me said, hey, we got a problem here. There's definitely something wrong with the way you're thinking, the things you're doing. Do you not love yourself, Steph? That was the big question. No, I didn't. I didn't love me. In fact, I can honestly say I despised me. I hated myself. In fact, sometimes I think that's why I did some of the things I did, full well knowing that these things were going to hurt me, maybe even kill me, but I did them anyway. At any rate, when I had my what I call spiritual awakening, one of the first exercises I had to learn to do was to stand in front of the mirror and say, I am loved. Because I had to learn to believe that I was capable of being loved. And not just by some man or even a woman, but by me. By me. I had to love me. So this was my exercise to do this every single day for as long as it took. Now, my spiritual advisor suggested about 2-3 weeks. Let me tell you something. I still do it today. I did it today, several times in fact. I don't think I'll ever stop. Now, the next thing that I had to do to develop this love, this feeling of love for me, I had to begin to truly believe that there was something greater than me, a creator, perhaps. So, I didn't know how to think of a creator. Some people have some kind of image in their mind of a man with a big white beard and all kinds of stuff. No, I can't think like that. I'm sorry. Somebody told me, think of someone that loved you when you were a child. Well, frankly, I didn't know if anyone did love me when I was a child. And that will come out in the book, why I felt that way. So it was very difficult for me to encompass some concept of a creator until I started meditating. And that made it real simple. Okay, but before I did that, I stood in front of the mirror, and I would say, God loves, or I am worthy of God's love. I am worthy of God's love. I am a child of God. We are all children of God, and we are worthy of love. Even me. How about that? Even me. Now, learning to love me made it so much better for loving my children. My children have always been the most important human beings in my life. Always. I cannot tell you why. Well, I probably can, but I'm not going to right now. The death of my one son almost killed me. Some might say it still is. I don't know. I just take it one day at a time. him so much. But he still loved me, and I know that my son has transitioned, and that as energy is now in a different place. He is in a safe place, and his light burns bright still to this day. Now, there's a couple of things that I am going to read real quick. And now, this is from a book that I read. It's called Women Who Run with the Wolves. I'm going to tell you something. Not an easy book to read, by the way. It took a while. Now, this is a quote from the book. Aloneness in the oldest sense of the word. Long ago, the word alone was treated as two words, all one. To be all one meant to be wholly one, to be in oneness, either essentially or temporarily. That is precisely the goal of solitude, to be all one. How wonderful to truly find the meaning of alone. This is a positive side, okay? And presents a whole different perspective on that word. Renewal and reborn cannot occur without aloneness and solitude. I'm going to cut it for now, but we're going to go on with that, these concepts, okay? Hey, I love all of you, no matter what you are, who you are, whatever. And I don't mean what you are, you're all human. I mean who you are. I love all of you. I really do. Forgive me for anything that I might have said that might have hurt anyone. Please forgive me. We're going to talk about forgiveness in the next YouTube too. Thanks.